Andrew Chafin is a name that has swirled around all offseason, but a new report from Ken Rosenthal says Toronto should be in on the crafty lefty, and that would most certainly make the bullpen one of the league's best. And finally, the Rogers Center dimensions have been revealed, so we'll break down what that means on this episode of Jay's Digest. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. I want to thank you all for the support that we've been getting. We've been super busy, but it doesn't stop us from pumping out the daily content, and we couldn't be more thankful for each and every one of you.
Yeah, we're on the road to 7K subscribers, so make sure to hit the subscribe button if you like the daily content. And without further ado, let's get into the first topic, which is the Blue Jays potentially being interested in left-hander Andrew Chafin. Now, like you said in the intro, Peter, the name is circled around a lot, but the Jays finally have some sort of link. So this is in an article saying with less than 3 weeks to go until pitchers and catchers report to spring training, most of the top free agents have already been signed. One segment of the market that's been strangely quiet is left-handed relief. Andrew Chafin, Matt Moore, and Zach Britton are some of the noteworthy southpaws still unattached. And as Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic reported, the Rangers, Astros, Yankees, Red Sox, Jays, Brewers, Cardinals are among interested in their services. So obviously a few other teams, and we covered Zach Britton in a video the other day. But now Andrew Chafin is a name that got brought up and linked with the Blue Jays. And I have lots of screenshots with some reactions, some stats. But before we do into that, Peter, what are your thoughts on Chafin as a whole? Because we really haven't had a full video discussing him in full.
I think he's solid. I would still lean more towards Matt Moore, but as you mentioned over there, pretty much every contending team is in on these guys, and for good reason. These are like final piece type players. You know, you get them, and your bullpen is complete. You're ready to go. It gives you variety. It gives you a different look out of that bullpen, and that's the Blue Jays need, I think. I'm not sure if they could go for another righty at this point. They have a lot of internal options that have a chance to make the team, and only a lefty makes sense at this point. So unless you're getting Scott Barlow off the trade market, then the next best thing is probably either Matt Moore, Andrew Chafin, Zach Britton, one of those three lefties that could really diversify it and help you out a lot in your push to October.
Yeah, I like Andrew Chafin a lot, and him versus Matt Moore is an interesting discussion, and we'll get you guys to leave some comments on that. But this was also from the article. Those three relievers bring varying levels of appeal to clubs. Obviously, we discussed Britton in yesterday's video. Moore we also discussed in a previous video, but it says Chafin, 33 in June, is the youngest of the three and has been fairly consistent in recent years, apart from a small sample blip in the shortened 2020 season. Chafin has been more, consistent than Matt Moore has been as a reliever, but him versus Britton is another interesting conversation, and obviously you'd assume that Andrew Chafin would cost a significant, amount more than someone like Zach Britton, you'd think, or at least, a little bit more. So I'm very interested and curious as to why he hasn't been signed yet. Maybe it's because of the price tag that may be attached.
Yeah, it must be because of the price. I mean, we see what relievers are getting paid. Like Edwin Diaz got 20 million. Obviously, I'm not putting them in the same category there, but it just shows you that the market is very inflated. Robert Suarez, who had 1 year, he had a very good year with the Padres and broke out in the playoffs, and then he gets 10 plus million over 3 years. So it just shows you that these guys want to get paid. They deserve to get paid, but it also it worries you to throw that kind of money at a guy like Andrew Chafin who doesn't throw hard, who doesn't strike out too many guys, and obviously in the AL East as well with the smaller ballparks, and you want to maybe try to go for a bit more velocity, and that's where Matt Moore and Zach Britton come in there.
Yeah, and we'll have a couple look at his stats since 2014. So obviously last year, 2.83 ERA in a lot of games, in 64 games and 57 innings. 2021, he had a combined 1.83 ERA. And obviously 2020, he had a little bit of a poor year. But in general, he's been fairly consistent as a left-handed reliever, especially for the past few years there. And you can look at his baseball savant, and like you said, his fastball velocity is lower than, that of Britton and Moore by a couple miles per hour. He averages 92, but he has, a wipeout slider. And most of his baseball savant page is in red. 89th percentile chase rate. He doesn't get hit very hard. He doesn't get barreled very hard. He strikes out, a decent amount. Surprisingly, again, it's because of the slider, but I don't know. He's a very, very interesting guy, and I think that he could be a very, under the radar maybe pickup. I don't know. It's the market on him is very quiet, and I'm still wondering why. And again, it must be because of the price tag, but I don't know. I think he'd be a great addition to the pen and kind of the last guy we need to make our pen top five in the MLB.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said, but I would still lean Matt Moore because we got to keep into account that in the last 2 years that he's pitched in Detroit and in Oakland, those are some of the two best pitcher-friendly ballparks in the major leagues. So yeah, he's had low ERAs in pitchers' ballparks, apart from maybe with the Cubs. He had a pretty decent ERA, and that's not necessarily a pitcher's ballpark. But in his years in Arizona before that, I look at the numbers: 6.75 ERA. I see 3.76, and Arizona is known as a hitter-friendly ballpark. So how will he adjust to the smaller parks in the AL East? I know you don't play your opponents as much within the division anymore, but it's still 13 games that you're playing against the Yankees, 13 that you're playing against the Red Sox, the Orioles, the Rays. So will he be able to hold up throughout the entire season against those types of teams? Or is he really made for a team like Oakland or Detroit or, I don't know, give me another pitcher's ballpark? Is he really
Yeah.
made for those teams? Or is he ready for bandboxes in the AL East?
And
I'm
not
not convinced.
and not to mention as we'll get into in a second here, the Rogers Center is also turning into a hitter friendly park as opposed to a pitcher. But a couple more screenshots here.
More hitter friendly.
Yeah.
More hitter
So
friendly.
this is from the Ken Rosenthal again. He basically just wrote a column about some players who are still available for free agency, and basically said the Blue Jays were among the teams who have expressed interest in the lefties out there. And yeah, so basically the same thing. And it also said, which was an interesting tidbit in this article, saying in the view of one executive, the expectation for those pitchers changed when the Phillies awarded Matt Strahm with a 2-year, $15 million deal. That deal destroyed the market. So kind of goes to show that maybe that's why Chafin wants a deal probably similar to Matt Strahm, and no team is willing to pay. But let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on Chafin as we move into the second topic now, which is a massive Rogers Center news. The renovations, obviously, we've covered them a lot throughout the offseason, but the dimensions have finally been leaked. They've been revealed, and I guess we'll pop them up right now, and we'll get your thoughts on it, Peter. So this is the finally, we have like a graphic of what the Rogers Center looks like, and I'll get to the actual specific dimensions in a second. But the major keynotes here is obviously the short porch in right field and the center field wall being lowered by 2 feet. It looks like a completely different stadium.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see these new changes. It's going to be an adjustment for the home team as well, and those guys, those great outfielders out there, are going to learn how to play the outfield properly at Rogers Center, and I'm sure once they get used to it, they're going to have pretty big home field advantage. Now I think they elevated the walls in right and left, and they brought the center field wall down, which is perfectly made for a lot of Kevin Kiermaier highlight catches, and I cannot wait to see these guys in action.
Super excited for it, and I'll pop up this here, which are the exact dimensions. So in left field, the left field line, no change. The wall was increased to 14 feet. As you said, the right field line, no change again, but the wall was increased by 2 feet 7 inches. Left center, obviously, increased by an inch, or by a foot, sorry. Right center, increased by a lot. And then, the power alleys. But again, the main thing was also straightaway center field, which was lowered by 2 feet, which means robbing center field fly balls is going to be much more doable for Kiermaier, even though it wasn't too undoable before. But having a platinum glover in there, it really goes to show that maybe the front office was thinking ahead a little bit with all these acquisitions they made, because they knew this before we knew the exact dimensions they were going to be doing. So maybe they took that into account and starting to look more and more like it.
Yeah, front office playing chess, we're all playing checkers, and I love to see this kind of shrewd movement around the team. They're planning their team around what their field is going to look like, and it's fun, it's exciting, it's something to talk about at this stage of the offseason when there's not much going on, and it just makes you wonder as a Jays fan, how's it going to look? Can't wait to go to the ballpark. There's a lot of hype around opening day. Tickets are skyrocketing in price, and for good reason. This is probably one of the deeper Blue Jay teams that we've seen in the last decade, since maybe 2015. So it's the right time to do this, to unveil this new exciting news to the fans. It's just it's exciting. It's very exciting for the Jays.
Yeah, and we start off, remember, on that big, I think, 10-game road trip to start the year. So by the time we have the home opener, hopefully the Jays will be something like 8-2 or something like that. But we'll move into the final topic. Let us know what your thoughts are on the new Rogers Center renovations. Just a quick thing here. Vlad was ranked third among top 10 first basemen. And we've been reacting to these at the end of our videos a little bit recently, and it's just something fun to do while the offseason, like you said, Peter, is a bit down. But we'll pop this up now. Top 10 first basemans. We have Freeman, Goldschmidt, and then Vladdy at third, with Alonso, Vinny Pasquantino, Olson, Lowe, France, Jose Abreu, Anthony Rizzo. And Peter, do you have any quick thoughts on, I guess, Vladdy being ranked third, or any people in there you don't think deserve to be in there? Because I know Twitter goes crazy with these lists. But do you have any thoughts on this list as a whole?
Well, Vinny Pasquantino had a really good rookie year when he came up with the Royals last season. But he replied to this tweet, actually, which I found really funny. And he said, MLB Nerds is responsible for 99% of the hate that I get on Twitter. And I mean, for good reason. The guy played 72 games and he broke out a little bit, but to put him above guys like Matt Olson and Nathaniel Lowe and even Jose Abreu, who won an MVP just 2 years ago. I find it a little bit ridiculous. And Jose Abreu is joining one of the best lineups in all of baseball, if not the best lineup in the Houston Astros. So it just I don't like how overvalued we overvalue rookies or anything like that. They just haven't proven much yet. So it remains to be seen, but apart from maybe Vinny Pasquantino, I think it's a pretty fair list. Maybe I'd move everyone up a little bit and put Pasquantino at 9 or 10, and then the list would make a lot more sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, these lists, we just react to them because they're, something fun, something to stir up some comments. It's good discussion, and I like Vladdy at 3. Obviously, Freeman, great
Yeah,
year.
me too.
Maybe Goldschmidt at 1, but that's, you can also debate that. Goldschmidt had a phenomenal year as well. But overall, it was a solid list, and, Vladdy is, I'm excited for his year next year. I think he's going to have a breakout year. Maybe he slides into number 1. But let us know your comments in the comments, your thoughts on that, and that'll wrap up the video. Thank you for all the support. We're close to 7K, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks.